Hello everybody. So now we will see the practical implementation of how we can create entire application in WPF. So the first step is that we need to create front end application and then we have to create some class library projects. So as a first step I will just go to Visual Studio to create a new project and I will choose from here WPF template. I will give it name, some meaningful name. So I will give it name in entire demo app. I wanted to use the same structure that we have used in the previous examples, same tables. So I will just copy that structure here also to save our time. So if you remember, we have already used the similar structure in our previous examples also. And if we look at the database, so this is the database that we're going to use. Its name is practice. And already I have written some procedures that we have used in the previous examples also. So I will be using the same procedures here in this example also. So the first step was that create your main application. So already we have done this part. Second step is we need to create the business entity layer class library, and which will contain the class having properties similar to the table structure. So I will go to Visual Studio again. So this is WPF project. Now I need to create one class library. Class library means it is a project which only contains your uh, coding part. So there is no designing there. So we'll choose from here this particular template and I will give it name business entity layer. Once it is added, I will change this its class name. I will want to give it name, it's a meaningful name. Suppose the table name was employee, so I will give it name employee. Now once it is added, so the class name is changed now. So this is a class in which I will declare some properties which will be similar to the table structure. So, so our first attribute in the table was ID. So ID, this is attribute, and I will declare a property here now which will public int ID, and here I will use get and set methods. So in get we will say return ID, which is used to return the value, and then I will use set method which is used to put value in this attribute. So yes, this is done. This is for ID column which was in the table. Next is for name department manager. Either I can write these statements, I can also use the short forms. I can use prop full and then I can press tab key 2 times. So my next attribute in the table was name and its type is string, and I want to give the property here capital N. Next I will write it for the other attribute was department, so its type is string department, and I will change the property name to department. Next I will do for manager, and I will change its property name to manager. Next is for experience, and I will change the property name to experience. And the last was for salary. It's also integer and its name is salary, and the property name I will change it to salary. So the first part is done till now. So we've added a class which is similar to the structure of the table, means whatever properties they are, they're matching the table's attributes. Now next step, now we need to add one more class library. If we look at the slide, we have to add one business access layer class library we should have methods that we'll call methods in data access layer. So we just add this project, but it will be blank initially. So we'll go and I will add one more class library here, new project, and I will give it name now, business access layer. But for the time being, I will not change anything here. So we'll add one more project. So add new project, and now I will create one more library and I will give it name data access layer. So here I will now change this class file name and I will give it name DAL to make it more user friendly. And once it is changed, now this is the project which will contain the methods that we are going to that is going to interact with the database directly. So before you write all the methods, we need to add some namespaces. I will add here using system.data.sql client, and I will also add system.data. And before we proceed further, we need to add a reference here. So we'll add reference to business entity layer project. So we'll add it from here, business entity layer project. So we can see that it's added here, and then I can add it here also. So using business entity layer. Okay. So in this class, now I will start writing all the methods which is going to directly interact with the database. So first I will write a method which will return the connection string. Why? Because I wanted that the connection string should be stored at only one location. So get connection, and here I will declare one variable of string type which will store the connection string. So first our server name will come here. So server name I can copy from my database. So my server name is this. So this name I will copy from here. So my server name is this. Next is my database name. So I'm using practice. I will write here practice. And the last one is the credential. So I will be using integrated security because my authentication in SQL was Windows. So it is done, and we will close it here, and then we need to return this string from here. Okay, once it is done, now I can write all the methods which will perform the basic CRUD operations on the database. And again, before we proceed further, I will declare SQL connection and SQL command at class level. Cool. Now once it is done, now I will start writing my methods. So my first method is going to return the records. So I will return the records in table forms. I'm using public data table get, and the method name that I'm going to give here is get emps. Okay. Now I will initialize this connection object. So new SQL connection, and then I will call this method from here which is returning the connection string. And as a preferable approach, I should be using here using block, so that there is no need to call dispose method explicitly. So when you will this is executed, so when you come out of this curly braces, so this connection object is destroyed automatically, so we do not have to call it, so it will save the memory. Next, again I will declare I will initialize object of SQL command, in which I will pass the procedure name that we are going to call. In the second parameter here will be connection object. I will also use curly braces here to demarcate its boundary. Next, I will specify that I am using procedure and not any inline query. And for that we need command type property. Next, I will declare an adapter here. So I will write SQL data adapter and then I will say that adapter dot select command is equal to com. Once it is done, now I will declare object of dataset. Now through this adapter, I will be able to fetch the record from the database. So adapter dot fill this data set and the records I want to store in a table. So it will give it name employee, which is matching my uh, table name. And once it is done, now I can return this table from here. So I can say return dt, or we can say from here, sorry, not dt but ds dot tables. And because I'm using outside the scope, which means I need to declare it also at here, not at this particular block level. So once it is done, and now I can say from here return ds dot tables, and the table name here is employee. So this method is returning the table now. Okay. Now I know I wanted that the records which are getting returned from this particular method should come and they should be stored in this particular data grid. But for that, we cannot directly call the methods of data access layer because this is my presentation layer. So we wanted that the business access layer, it should be able to call all the methods of the data access layer. So now I will go to this business access layer and I will change this class name here first. So the class name I will give it now business access layer. So this is the class which is changed now, and now I need to call the method of the data access layer here. So before we proceed further, we need to add the references. So we'll add references to business entity and data access layer here. Okay. So it's added here now. So now we can add those namespaces here also. So business, and then I will say data access layer. So we added references to both the projects here now. Now within this class, I will create object of data access layer. I will give it name DAL object is equal to new DAL, and I will make one method here now, public data table, and if you want to use it, I need to add that namespace here. So using system dot data. So now I should be able to use this type here, this class here. So the method name I'm going to give here is get emps. Now here I need to call the method of data access layer, so that I can do by using the object of this data access layer here. So I can say from here return data access layer object dot get emps, because this is a method which was returning the records in table form. So I'm saying from here that fetch all the records, and then I'm filling those records in a data set and in this table, and then we're returning this table from here. So this method I'm calling from the business access layer from here, and this method now we need to call from the main application, that is our user interface. So before we call the method, we need to first add references. So we'll just go to our main application and we will add references to business access layer and business entity layer. Once it is done, now I can come to my main application, and then I wanted that this the method should be called on window loaded event. So we'll just go to the properties and I will choose the event from there. So this is the properties window, and I will choose from here events, and I wanted to use loaded event from here. Okay, so it's added here now. And before we proceed further, I will just add references though to those uh, DLLs here also. So it is business access layer. Once it is added, now we can create object class here also. So it is employee, and I can say EMP object is equal to new employee. I will also create object of business access layer, and I will give it name business val object is equal to new. Okay. Now in this window loaded event, I can call that method now. So my control name was dgmplist, and I will be using item source property here, and it should be business access layer object. So okay, so we have written it here so that these statements should come at the class level here, because at that in that case it will become local variables. So business access object dot get emps, and then because it is returning a table from there, I need to convert it to view. So that's it. So if we run this application now, so we'll run this application and we should be able to get all the records from the table. So we can see now I'm getting the table's data in this data grid now. So if we again see all of our steps, so what we have done till now, I've created now how many projects? 4. One was my main application. If you see at the solution explorer here, one is my main application. So we have now how many projects? 4. This is my main application. Then we have 3 different class library projects. This is business access layer, business entity layer, and data access layer. Now this is the layer which contains all the methods which are directly calling the store procedures, or they're referring to the tables of the database. This is the layer which contains a class which is having a structure similar to the table structure. And this is the class. It will contain the class, this project, it will contain the methods which are invoking or which are calling the methods of the data access layer. And in this main application, I have added references to business access layer and business entity layer. In data access layer, we have added the reference of business entity layer. And in the business entity layer, we have added references to business entity layer and data access layer. So if we again see the coding part, so this data access layer, it contains 2 methods till now. One is the get connection, which is returning the connection string, and the other is get emps, which is returning the record from the table in data table form. And to call this method get emps, we are calling it from business access layer. So this is a method which is calling the method of the data access layer, and it is returning the data in again tabular form, in the table form. And this method we are calling from the main application on Windows loaded event here. So if we again go to the slide, so we have followed all these steps. We have created our main front-end application. Then we have added these class library projects, business entity layer, business access layer, which should have methods that will call methods in data access layer. In the data access layer class library is calling the methods to access the database directly. And then we have also added these references. In main application, we added reference to business entity layer and business access layer class libraries. In business access layer library, we've added reference to business access entity layer and data access layer. And in data access layer, we have added reference to business entity layer. So we have seen till now that when we divide our application in different layers, what is the advantage? That these are independent of each other. If you change something here, So it will not affect the other layers or the other applications. So in this example, we have seen how to start creating the application and how we can divide, and we have only seen one method till now, that was to for retrieval of the records. In the next example, we will see the other operations, insertion, deletion and updation in entire application in WPF.